What if you knew your life was going to change tomorrow? Would you live differently? Let's step into that tomorrow for a second. You wake up in a foreign bed, a screen behind you that keeps beeping. Then you're told to wear some sheet of fabric to cover your essentials. Sorry, excuse with clothes, but fashion is the last thing on your mind right now. You can't walk like you used to, or even smile like you used to. That tomorrow would be impossible to know, and it's just something you can't control. So what do? On the 15th of March last year, I heard those two dreaded C words, one followed by you have, and the other followed by you will need. 3 months later, staring at a wall was my source of comfort. Hospitalized for cancer, intoxicated with what they called medicine, staring at that white wall in front of me was the only thing I could control, while everything else around me was in the hands of everyone else but my own. Now, I'm not here to rant about how hard life was or talk about everything I had to go through, because I don't want or need more pity. Instead, I want to share my newfound perspectives, thoughts and realizations that resulted from my time in the hospital, and how much happier I've learned to be. See, that's the thing I've learned about happiness itself. It's a choice. Now wait, before you all get defensive and say it's not that easy, I agree. It's not as easy as just flipping a switch and then you're happy. Instead, it's all about choosing to find that happiness, creating it. It's easy to get caught up in a tough situation and think, why? Why is this happening to me? Everything that you are has been carefully constructed by your choices in life and your experiences. If you choose to respect those experiences, those choices, and learn from them, you can make those foundations, each building block, stronger and continue to grow. A bit like that game Tetris. Each block fits a certain way into your construction, and all you need to do is find the way that it does. Wondering why a block is in a certain shape can only get you so far, and you would eventually run out of time, because the next block, the next obstacle, will not wait for you to find out why. Okay, let's try something right now. Look at the person sitting next to you and smile. Just smile. Psychological studies have proven that simply smiling can trigger the release of neural communication-boosting neuropeptides and neurotransmitters like dopamine and serotonin. And guess what? Those are your happy hormones. Why did I just tell you that? I told you that to show you that you control your mind, not the other way around. Okay, now think of something that brought you down recently, and keep smiling. It's hard, isn't it? That's okay. It's okay to be not okay. If happiness is a choice, why do we let the things that happen to us become the things that dictate who we are? The reality is, things are going to happen in your life that you have no control over. And you can either get frustrated by that fact, or you can focus on what you can control, your reaction to it. Instead of thinking, why is this happening to me? Identify, what is this teaching me? There was a point where everything in my life was controlled by others. My doctors controlled me physically, controlling how much chemotherapy I should take, how long I should stay in the hospital, and what goes on in my own body. My parents carried out the role of being very loving and caring guardians, but unknowingly were controlling my emotions, telling me I'm too weak to do certain everyday things, telling me to stay positive when they cried and I smiled, telling me to be brave when I wasn't scared. Why did they say all these things? Well, other than the obvious reason of trying to give me some emotional support, I suppose it was a way to give themselves that emotional support as well. It must have been dreadful for them to see me bald, pale, weak, and trying to walk like I used to. Their tears created an environment, an atmosphere, that made it seem impossible for anyone to see a glimpse of sunshine. They couldn't control what happened to me and resorted to superstitious beliefs. Beliefs like, your stars aren't aligned at this time of year. And though I appreciate someone taking their precious time out of their day to look at my stars, knowing that didn't really help anyone. Because the stars are a perfect example of the uncontrollable. You can't control the stars, but you can definitely see them. Constellations are difficult to see when the stars are scattered everywhere. In fact, many people believe that constellations don't even exist, and were just coined by some lunatic trying to find meaning in things that don't actually exist. It's also difficult to see happiness at times when it seems like there's nothing to be happy about. You may not believe in constellations, but you can't tell me you don't believe in stars. You can't change them, but you can definitely see them and put them together. The lunatics did it, so why can't you? You can't control the stars. My parents became frustrated that they couldn't control what had happened to me, and that is expected of parents. I, on the other hand, binge-watched some Netflix shows and YouTube videos when I was home and stared at that soothing white wall when I was in the hospital, and I hadn't a worry in the world. I wasn't worried about the things I couldn't control because I saw no point in that. I wasn't worried about my hair or the lack of it. I wasn't worried about surgery. I wasn't worried about catching up on schoolwork if I'm not able to. I did eventually. I wasn't worried about why. Why cry thinking about possibilities and possible paths and unanswerable questions when you can rejoice the definite future and the present, which is that I will be okay, we will be okay, and I'm thriving. Actually, my hair, I thought, looked kind of cool. I always came to school wishing it was a bit different because I could never get it to look the way I wanted to, but this solved that problem. And surgery was interesting too. I mean, I know it's scary for the people outside waiting to see you, but before surgery, I went on Reddit, as you do, to see what it was like. And the basic gist of what everyone said was that it's extraordinary. The anesthesia you get, it's like time travel, they said. And they were right. Before I knew it, the lights and ceilings on top of me started drifting away, and everything was fading away. And barely a second later, I was 2 hours into the future. It made me realize something. Sometimes it's necessary to just stop. Stop, take a step back away from it all. When the things happening in your life are out of your control and in the hands of other people, sometimes it's just best to leave it to those other people. When there's absolutely nothing you can do, when you're practically put to sleep like I was, trying to control anything is pointless. In fact, trying to do so may even lead to something worse, something harder to deal with. Mario can relate. He sometimes comes across pipes that are just too big to jump over. Now, he can either keep trying to jump over those pipes, which he won't be able to because he was programmed that way, or he can take a step back and find a different way. When you take a step back and understand or learn to appreciate the things around you, things will become clear to you and everyone else. Often, and I'm guilty of this as well, we take for granted that we have a choice. We forget that though we're allowed to feel upset, we have the choice to smile. But when that choice is taken away, when we lose that power, we get frustrated by it. That's when it's important to just stop. While everything was going on, the typical IB student voice inside of me kept saying, "Hey, you still haven't finished your work." I didn't really want to be honest. I mean, I have a good excuse, right? But I did. And in a way, it felt like a coping mechanism. I mean, I know I keep saying that I'm grateful for my experience, but that's only how I feel about it now. Back then, I didn't know how much more space my body had for needles. And working on my school stuff, doing the same things my class here would be doing while I was there, it helped me take my mind off of things I couldn't control. Made me feel like things were normal again. I stopped listening to the noise of doctors and hospitals, and instead started paying attention to things that made me happier, the things I could control. Creating an environment which makes it difficult to feel happy is easy, tempting, but almost pointless. Instead, my advice to you is to not let your mind think it controls you. The people, the places, the situations, they may influence you, but they don't control you. Only you get to control how you feel, so take advantage of that and keep working towards where you want to be. It's kind of like that boss level in your Nintendo game. You will keep going through levels one by one to get to that boss level, each level being harder than the last. But you do get through it, and you will get through that boss level. And you get through it because you consciously control your character. The same thing applies here. It's difficult to look at a depressing situation and smile at it, but choosing to smile, looking for something to make that smile genuine, is the first step towards getting better mentally and becoming happier. Thank you.